Is being a goldfish the same as betrayal blindness? My answer is no. So, for me personally, it's been a tough few years, and I am definitely behind on my television watching. As I recovered from surgery, I've had a little bit of time where I had no choice but to sit around. So I started watching different shows, and as I got down on my list, one I watched was Ted Lasso. I realized Ted Lasso is old news. But I'm enjoying it, and I'm lucky to be watching it for the first time, and it's a great time to avoid the news. And heaven knows, I know any of you who watch it know it was a breath of fresh air. So for me personally, as I watch Ted Lasso, it sort of strikes me as a sort of hybrid of Kimmy Schmidt and Forrest Gump, and it's sweet, and I'm enjoying it, and it's nice, and it makes me feel good, right? And Ted Lasso's positivity and sweetness, which actually belie in him a history of neglect and a relationship that is falling apart. I'm still at the beginning. Poor Ted has not had an easy life. He's not Mr. Positivity because he's lucky. It made me sit up straight because heaven forbid I don't watch every single damn thing I watch, movies, TV, all of that, from the lens of narcissistic relationships. It's my curse. And forgive me if this has already been said 1,000 times. I am late to the party, but I'm saying it here, okay? Since I'm sure many of you have seen Ted Lasso or know about it, and for those of you who haven't, I'm not spoiling anything in this video. But in this show, Ted Lasso, who is a soccer coach, he tells a player who is struggling with some past history with a very difficult teammate to be a goldfish. And that, at least my interpretation on it, and that meant apparently what he said was a goldfish has a memory of 10 seconds. So Ted Lasso, again, the sport coach, is telling his player to just forget it and move on. Forget the way he was badly treated by the player and move on. Now, as you can imagine, I didn't love that. But then I understood some tropes and stuff people have brought to my attention, like even stuff they'd text me, like, be a goldfish. And I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? I thought they were drunk, but now I get it. It was actually a thing. The challenge is that most of you who have been in or lived in or grew up in narcissistic relationships, you are experts at being goldfish, at the thing happening, and then in 10 seconds, forgetting it. Now, the character in Ted Lasso is suggesting, Ted Lasso, frankly, is suggesting that the player he is talking to, he's telling him, be like a goldfish. Forget the bad thing the person did and just move on from it. Sorry, Ted, it doesn't work because the bad people keep doing bad things. And the good people aren't really forgetting no matter how hard they try. Poor Ted Lasso is not trauma-informed. And the beat goes on, and all the positivity in the world won't heal you. Being a goldfish doesn't actually make things better. It might get you through a moment, but we actually don't really forget. Because I could see how people might confuse the be a goldfish and betrayal blindness. That was the first thing that hit me. Maybe I'm the only one who was hit like that. This idea of being a goldfish, as Ted Lasso is saying it, it's intentional, right? It's like so much of the self-helpy, life coach Instagram stuff out there that instructs people to just let it go, put it behind you, don't sweat the small stuff, start clean. I'd love to live in that world. It's this idea that people could start every interaction with somebody who's abused them anew, start it clean and not ruminate and fixate. Well, that doesn't work, frankly, unless you know what it is you're up against. Betrayal blindness is not being a goldfish. It's an issue with encoding information that will undermine attachment. It's actually the knowing but not knowing. That, again, that not encoding a betraying experience. We don't do that because it'll interrupt these important relationships. It would interrupt safety. It's the not encoding the problematic text you saw on the family iPad attached to the iCloud about your partner's inappropriate behavior. It's the not seeing the financial betrayal by a family member. It's the not remembering or not recalling or even understanding that your friend shared a secret about you that you didn't want other people to know. Because if you see those things, it's going to be a lot harder to keep those relationships going. Betrayal blindness is not denial, and it is not amnesia. It is also not voluntary. You aren't saying, dirty text, let me be a goldfish. Or strange bank transfer by my brother, let me be a goldfish. It, like so many protective responses, betrayal blindness being one of them, is protective of us and our relationship and our perceived sense of safety. We know the thing happened. We see that the thing happened, but there's a cost to knowing it, and it doesn't disappear. It's there somatically and even known to us and in a safer space. For example, in therapy, talking to a trusted friend who knows what's going on. Perhaps once you're fully and safely out of the relationship, you say, holy shit, yeah, that happened. That's not being a goldfish. This betrayal blindness and related kinds of mechanisms are a far more complex issue around memory encoding, attachment, safety, and recall. To be a goldfish, again, I'm telling you, a while back, someone said that to me, and I had no idea what she meant. So I was sort of nodding politely, and I thought she meant that I should be looking out of the world like I was trapped in a bowl. Like I was really trying to figure out what the hell she was talking about. Now that I understand it, I was like, ooh, this is actually not cool. Because we don't have memories that last 10 seconds. And actually, the more painful the memory, the longer we hold on to it, right? When people leave us feeling invalidated, unsafe, unseen, threatened, traumatized, or harmed, I've got to tell you, we remember it for a lot longer than just 10 seconds. And as I said, we hold on to it often somatically a lot longer than we hold on to other things. Listen, I see a little utility to this whole goldfish paradigm. I could see goldfishing being used as a part of not engaging, but it's less about just forgetting it after the 10 seconds than just stepping away within 10 seconds and not interacting. But you got to remember, because if you goldfish too much, you miss what might be what I consider to be one of the more important parts of healing from narcissistic relationships, which is clearly seeing the patterns. So you're better equipped to interact in these relationships, be safe, and not continually be harmed yourself. We live in a world where one group is saying that anyone who does one selfish thing is narcissistic, which is not true. We all do selfish things. And then we have a world where one group is enduring these harmful, antagonistic, narcissistic relationships for years and making excuses and even criticizing people who use the word narcissism to describe these patterns. Not good. To identify a relationship as antagonistic or toxic or narcissistic requires looking for patterns across lots of areas. We're looking for consistent manifestations of manipulation, invalidation, lying, domination, blame shifting, gaslighting. It's consistent over time. This isn't a one-off. If you were indeed being a goldfish, then damn. That is just waking up every day, maybe even experiencing every hour to a world where it's just a new terrible, where you're like, oh, rather than, oh, this is a pattern. And it may not be me. Listen, folks, I'm very slow to watch TV because I don't have a lot of time, but I've only just started watching the show. Frankly, I do like it. So far, the characters that have sort of antagonistic patterns, they're expectably awful. The enablers in the show are complex, but in many ways, Ted Lasso is a classic survivor. There's a lot of fawning in him. He's trying to make the best of a bad situation and persisting despite the invalidation around him. But unfortunately, he's also suggesting things that are not only potentially to his own demise, but to those of others around him. It's a TV show, so I'm guessing it'll work out for him, and that in the narcissistic people will turn out to have little hearts of gold. But in the not TV show that is your life, you really can't be a goldfish. This is not bad. No. Now, it doesn't mean you ruminate. It doesn't mean you live in anger. Rather, it means you give yourself permission to see patterns. But to see patterns, you have to remember stuff. It means that you gain clarity. And it means you invest your goodness in the people where it's reciprocal, where it benefits both of you, and it creates a connection because it's happening in a very natural way for each other. I see what is happening in the Ted Lasso show. It's the wish that all survivors have. That maybe if I'm really nice to this very, very difficult, mean person, and I get it just right, I remember the proverbial biscuits every morning and the birthday gift. Then magical things will happen and everything will be okay. That we have the ability through our good, kind gestures to thaw the grandiose, arrogant, angry hearts. I mean, listen, a little thawing could happen. But whatever thawing does happen, my concern is that it won't last. And that the next time that the narcissistic person is threatened or frustrated or grandstanding or isn't made to feel special, the whole thing starts again. Remember that in Ted Lasso, the people who thawed the most, at least as far as I've gotten, were either people who didn't actually need to thaw and were just sad, or people who had likely been narcissistically abused or betrayed or harmed in some way themselves. So far in what I'm seeing, the mean ones just kept being mean. I know so much that the world wants people who are in toxic relationships to just act like goldfish and just keep the status quo going. But actually, I'm a bigger fan of you being an elephant or a crow, both of whom have very good memories. If you keep just remembering stuff for 10 seconds and then pushing it away, the status quo sustains. You think that this is just how the relationship is, and you definitely keep blaming yourself, thinking you're the problem, and actually think the world is a far more terrible place than it actually is. So while Ted Lasso lets me be in a cheerful silo for a little while, and I do love it, I also know that as a survivor myself, the reason I love it is because it's what I wish could happen. And the person I wish I could be. Our agreeable selves get a little bit quieter in these relationships. It's not that agreeable people stop being agreeable because they're in narcissistic relationships. But we tend to become a little bit more tentative with it because it gets harder and harder to trust. But everybody, please don't be a goldfish. Thanks again.